What is up, Internet? I'm Jason DeRusha. This is the 734 from WCCO. Great to have you with us today. We get you up to date on all the news headlines from COVID-19, as well as the weather here on the 734. Let me give you today's 730 forecast. Hey, it's more rain. What a wet week it is going to be. We've had a little off and on shower, and today it's going to really develop into real rain, it sounds like, around 4 o'clock. By 8, there could be a mix. How do you feel about wintry mix? Pro? Con? For me, I like to pick a lane. Either be rain or snow. Don't give me this mix, but it looks like we might get some of both around 8 tonight. Temperature's decent, but we are in a wet pattern for sure. Let's talk about this. New survey information talking about how we're feeling about the current pandemic situation, and there is hope and optimism. A new CBS poll finds many Americans do report feeling stressed and feeling nervous from the outbreak. More than half, though, are remaining calm and hopeful most of the time, which I think is really good. I think, for me, both answers are right. We're a little stressed. We're a little on edge. We're not panicking. We're not freaking out. We're staying calm. We're staying hopeful, but both those things are happening. So we wondered, how are you staying calm or hopeful? What are your strategies? What are your approaches? We'd love to hear your comments if you're watching on the WCCO Facebook page. If you put those in the thread, we will read through a couple of them in a moment. I want to begin with some news that broke overnight. The Senate, Republicans and Democrats came together and figured out a way to push through a $2 trillion stimulus package. The goal is to help American workers and businesses impacted by coronavirus. The deal announced just after midnight. There is going to be a cash payment to most Americans. It depends on how much you made on your 2018 tax return. There also is going to be money for small businesses, grants and loans to help them stay afloat and hopefully help them keep paying people. Senate will likely vote on this bill later today. There's some question as to how the House is going to deal with it because the House hasn't been in session, so we'll see what they do there. The president, of course, has to sign it before the money starts flowing. We also learned in the early morning hours today that Prince Charles has coronavirus. The palace says he has mild symptoms. He is self-isolating. He is 71 years old. He's also first in line to the British throne. His wife Camilla was tested, but she does not have it. The BBC reporting that the Queen last saw her son 13 days ago. So hopefully the Queen kind of out of that window where she might be at risk. They're monitoring her closely. She's reported to be in good health. This is just heartbreaking. Minnesota Timberwolves star player Karl Anthony Towns revealed overnight that his mother has COVID-19. He says she's on a ventilator and in a medically induced coma. He posted this emotional message last night.
I talked to her before she went there, told her I loved her. Every day I always told her how much I love her. She was telling me things that I didn't want to hear. This disease needs to not be taken lightly. Please protect your families, your loved ones, your friends, yourself.
Towns didn't share how his mother, Jacqueline, may have contracted the virus. He says his father was also not feeling well. He's in quarantine after being released from the hospital. But Karl Anthony Towns, remember, he's the guy who donated $100,000 in Mayo Clinic to improve the amount of testing that was available for this. And that happened before his mom and dad was diagnosed. He just saw the need, took action. But boy, urging everyone to stay home and practice social distancing. Our thoughts to his family for sure. There are 262 positive cases here in Minnesota, and one of them is Brian Keppers, whose entire family is stuck at home right now. Brian hasn't traveled recently, but he said he was at all 3 days of the boys' state hockey tournament. He says he had body aches and coughed every time he tried taking a full breath. Since then, he says it's been a long road full of physical and also mental roadblocks.
I'm only 52 years old. I have no other underlying health issues, but I was concerned about the breathing aspect of this illness because, you know, you're coughing a lot, your lungs get a little bit tight, and trying to figure out, okay, is this what's going to lead me down the road and eventually have to go to the hospital? So that part, you know, mentally was, I think, a challenge.
Yeah, and that gives you a sense of what we mean when we talk about mild cases. They're brutal. It is mild relatively to being in the hospital on a ventilator. Brian tells us he's feeling much better now, though he is a little anxious to get out of the house. Once his symptoms go away completely, he said he plans on waiting another 7 days after that before ending his quarantine. In Wisconsin, safer at home. The order goes into effect at 8 this morning. So if you're watching us live, that's in 20 minutes, and it'll be in effect until April 24th. It bans all non-essential travel. In Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz says, he's looking at that option, but he's also seeing signs that we are already doing a good job at social distancing. Even so, he said he is going to extend the bar and restaurant closures until at least Easter. Researchers at Mayo Clinic are ready to begin a clinical trial to try to test out some options for therapy. That's the thing about COVID-19. There's no vaccine and there's no treatment. An infectious disease doctor told WCCO an old malaria drug called hydroxychloroquine has been a treatment option being tested. That is the drug that President Trump has been backing.
Now, it seems to have some antiviral effect on the COVID-19 virus, but it's very much anecdotal at this point. It has not undergone rigorous placebo-controlled large trials so that we know whether or not it can be effective in either treating people or preventing infection.
Dr. Rizza said Mayo Clinic now has the capacity to test thousands of people a day. They're hoping that'll be available to anybody who needs a test for COVID-19. Teachers across the state, they have been working this whole time. They're working on lesson plans to instruct their kids away from the classroom.
Kids are going to be fine. They work hard when they're there these couple of months. If they're just continually reviewing, having fun, being able to be kids, I think is going to be an important thing in keeping that mental health.
Yeah, my kids are not continually reviewing, I'll tell you that much. Distance learning is set to be, unless you're talking about reviewing Fortnite or Minecraft. Distance learning is set to start next week in Minnesota. It's going to be different, right? Online lessons, video conferences to interact with students, maybe office hours that teachers will have. Some districts are also offering pickup packets and learning tools parents can get at school. Some really tough news for hundreds of staff members at two of Minnesota's biggest and most popular museums. With the museums closed, you kind of knew this was coming, but 400 workers temporarily laid off from the Science Museum. Minnesota Children's Museum said they laid off something like 80% of their staff. Museums shut down the public on Friday, March 13th. There's no date to reopen in sight, so they just have to preserve their own operating budgets. These are nonprofits, and this spring break is typically one of the busiest times of the year for those museums. COVID-19 still having a big impact on gas prices around the country. Look at this at Lakeville. Man, these gas stations love to fight it out for the craziest prices. We found $1.18 a gallon for unleaded at the Quick Trip, and then also the gas station across the street. Gas Buddy this morning says high market in gas is even lower at 109. Checking prices on AAA, that's not the norm. National average 208. In Minnesota, it's 193. That is 65 cents per gallon cheaper than a year ago. It's even better in Wisconsin, although the stay-at-home order means you shouldn't really be driving around in Wisconsin. The average is 174. If you've gone to the store in search of toilet paper, this story won't surprise you. Thanks to all the empty shelves, panic buying has made toilet paper a hot commodity in the past few weeks. And according to market research firm Nielsen, TP sales jumped 213% the week ending March 14th compared to last year, which, okay, that makes sense. Had you thought of this? The fact that everybody's working at home? The expectation is that there will be a 140% increase in toilet paper consumption, or at least purchasing, because we're all buying it for our own homes. Frankly, like, the stuff I buy at home is way nicer than the stuff here at work.
Wait, Nielsen tracks toilet paper
Yeah,
sales?
yeah, they track everything. It's a thing.
Okay.
That's it. Why wouldn't you track it?
That's new.
New
to me.
That's right. This is big money. There's big money. When you're in the toilet paper business, you want to be number one when it comes to number two. That's what I always say.
Pure gold.
Joke never gets old. Eric is our digital guru here at WCCO. Eric, what are people saying about how they're staying calm? I'm doing it with dad jokes. That's how I stay calm.
Exactly. Well, you're kind of stressing me out with
Yeah,
that.
sorry. Yeah, that's all right.
Kimberly says that she's still going to work, so that helps a lot. And a number of people saying that that work is actually kind of helping them keep calm, which is the opposite.
Normally it is for me too.
We're
but
through the looking glass.
There is
here.
something about the routine. I was talking to a friend about that who is staying at home and not working, and she really misses the people.
Right.
Yeah.
Diana says putting puzzles together. I was going to buy a puzzle yesterday. I didn't like anything I saw.
Yeah. You're left with just the weirdest puzzles. You know, all the cool ones have sold out.
Right. Von Brewster said today is her husband's last day at work, and they're going to be inside painting the house.
Oh, boy, nothing brings
Paint
a marriage
sales.
together.
Yeah.
I did read that somebody was emailing about that at work yesterday.
They're
right?
crazy
Paint
high.
sales are
Everybody's
up.
painting their house.
I know. I get you got to do what you got to do, right?
And Sandra says she is horseback riding, which winning, that's the one.
Wow, horseback riding. That's amazing.
That's the best one.
Yeah, that is the best one. This is the 734 from WCCO. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'll be back with you again tomorrow.